Okay, good morning, everybody. So I have been asked to basically tell you guys how to select resources. So this video is going to be a little bit shorter than what I was originally planning for it, just because of the time constraints I'm facing right now as I try to prep a lot of different material. I will be adding onto this video. This original video is just going to be going over what we as a media center have already available to you. Obviously, there's more resources. I will be going over some of the free resources that you can find online, some of the more high quality ones that I personally know of. And then we will go ahead and focus mostly on what we already have. Okay, after this session, I plan on adding more resources to it, just to give you a little bit more information as we go. So, I'm starting us off in the extranet. Your students would obviously start in Spuds Landing, and that is pretty easy to find under School Home in Spuds Landing. I'll send out a video showcasing to students where to find that. But a large majority of them know how to get there. They've been being taught since they've been in kindergarten. But for us, what we do is we go to Media Resources. We're going to drop down to Media Centers, and then we're going to go all the way to the Horizon East Middle School Media Center. All right, now when I click on this, obviously it takes me to this page right here. There's the catalog, as well as some other tools on here. But what we are really going to be interested in today is e-resources for research. Now, I'm going to apologize before we even get started. I have noticed yesterday when I was helping a teacher go through and get everything ready to go, that it was slow. PowerSchool Learning was very slow, and sometimes things wouldn't load in properly. I'm assuming that's happening simply because a large number of people are all suddenly trying to use PowerSchool Learning as their platform. So if I run into any sort of technical difficulties, I apologize in advance, and I'll keep you updated on where that's at. So right here, these are the e-resources. For the most part, this is where your students are going to be able to use a large amount of tools that they will need. We'll just go through them really quickly. So Brainpop is always a favorite with kids. There's a wide variety of resources on them, and what ends up happening is when you click on when you search for a topic, it will bring up a short little video of it. So for example, if I type in Abraham Lincoln, it goes ahead and shows me everything that Abraham Lincoln shows up in for a topic. So I'm going to click on Abraham Lincoln right here. And what I can do is I can watch this video, okay? Now, this video will go through and tell you a little bit about Abraham Lincoln, his life, what he accomplished, so on and so forth. There's also quizzes that students can make, and there's worksheets as well as games, vocabulary, and some other things that you can see right here. For the most part, this is great for those students who may not be, who may have a struggle processing nonfiction information. The data is presented in an easy way. The characters are this guy right here and his robot, which we'll see if we can find, this guy right here. And it's presented in a very friendly, easy to comprehend way. Which is ideal for students who may not like to read, students who you're trying to go through and get information to. All right. Okay. Of course, we have CultureGrams. This is geared very much towards social studies teachers. I know a large number of you guys work on this already. World Edition goes through the world. Then we have states, provinces, which obviously doesn't apply to us too much unless anybody's teaching Canadian history right now. If you click Explore on here, it allows you to go through to the continents and click on the country, and it just gives you a zoom up of it. Gives you a nice piece of information, allows you to search out population, languages, religions, so on and so forth. All right. Okay, we have Explora. This is useful for pretty much anybody. It's in any sort of topics because the whole thing is built with tons and tons of data inside of it. So since we are all out of school because of the coronavirus, right here, if I click on Learn More right here, it's just going to go ahead and start to give me all sorts of articles about the coronavirus. Now, here's my caveat with this. So you are getting tons of data with this type of thing. Um, the data is good, but not all of it is written for your kids. So for example, there's this academic journal right here that it may or may not be good for middle schoolers. As you guys know, academic journals, very, very complicated language. So I would have, oh, and then of course this one in Spanish, so maybe not so useful for our students, unless of course you're in Spanish immersion. But what will end up happening is you can look at the full PDF of it, and if you like what you are seeing, you can save it directly into your Google Drive. And then that will allow you to embed it straight into PowerSchool Learning, or just sharing it through Google Drive. And then your students can process it and read it as they see fit. Oh, no. Sorry guys, I should have clicked on the back button. Instead I clicked on the X, so we're gonna have to, please bear with me as I get back to it really quickly. I will not make that mistake again. At least I will try not to during the course of this recording. All right. All right, so then we have points of view. This one is really, this one and pros and cons are both very good if you're dealing with a controversial topic. You can see that already right here: legalization of marijuana, political rhetoric, engaging China, transgender, restroom, globalization. Usually what they're dealing with is topics that, while they're incredibly relevant, they can also be very controversial. This one deals with that, and then the other one that deals with that is pros and cons, okay? Both of them go through and they try to give you information from both sides. They tell you the facts and tells you why some people are for it and why some people are against it. Both of these are fantastic resources when it comes to dealing with anything that might have political subtext, things that might be controversial, like legalization of marijuana or immigration or abortion, because it gives students what both sides believe. Neither of them are really trying to convince students of one thing or another, but they do tell them what the viewpoint is of everybody who is involved. And I personally find that very helpful when dealing with topics like these, because a lot of times you want the students are coming with their own backgrounds, with their parents, what their parents believe, what they may have for their own personal views, and this kind of exposes them to the other side of those views without necessarily undermining their views or making them feel really defensive. All right, and then one that I personally like a whole lot is research in context. We'll go back to Science Reference Center in a second. I have not used this one as nearly as much, but we'll go into research in context. Okay, so research in context is super helpful. If I was going to have my students be researching anything and I was not doing the Britannica encyclopedia, I would use research in context. And here's why. Research in context allows your students to go through and learn a ton about what they need to learn about in a very short amount of time. So let's go ahead and type in the coronavirus. We'll see if it's in here. There it is. All right, so what ends up happening is the coronavirus, it goes through and it aggregates everything, and it brings it up in multiple formats. So for example, there's one reference to it, okay? That reference looks to be a dictionary, right? But if you will take a look, you also have 189 images, you have one video on it, 426 audio articles on it, 552 magazine articles on it, and 2,434 newspaper articles on it. So this breaks down really quickly and really easily what it is that your students may want to know, okay? So what it allows them to do is, if they're looking particularly for a type of source like reference, it allows them to instantly select that source. And because the coronavirus is so new and things are happening so quickly with it, this is very heavily slanted, as you can see, towards newspaper articles. So let's try something else. Let's do hurricanes, because I feel like that has a really well-rounded view, and it does. You can see that there's 40 references on hurricanes, and then there's a biography that mentions hurricanes, 442 images, 40 videos, 676 audio, 681 magazines, 5,497 newspaper articles, and 2 primary sources. So this is a lot more fleshed out, which makes sense given how recent the coronavirus is. And then a lot of the ones that are more fleshed out have a nice overview that comes with them. I really love these overviews because what happens is they serve almost like a better sourced version of Wikipedia. The students can click on these and they can instantly see every single thing that the article is saying about what that is. So this gives them some background information, and then after they get that background information, they can go back and then they can really start to dig in, looking through some of these articles and these sources to find the information they need. All in all, I can't say enough about research and context. I really think that this is, when it comes to our students, one of the best things we can use. There's Science Reference Center. I'll sign in with this. I'll be super honest about this. I have not used this very much, and it looks like this one is not working. So I'm going to go ahead and back out, and I'll take a look at that later and see what's going on with that. All right, now we have EasyBib right here. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to be replacing these in a little bit. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you what my my bibliography system is for our students. And keep in mind, I will be updating these, working on making sure, checking on why some of these are breaking. I know that some of them, it's just that our internet connection to PowerSchool Learning, just because they're getting bombarded right now, is not as fleshed out as it should be. Other ones I'll double check and make sure that we don't have a broken link or something like that. So, and then other ones I'll update with better resources that I have ready to go. All right, so for example, I'm going into classroom research guides. Some of you guys have used these in the past, others of you have not. I'm going to go to the 7th grade Language Arts Wednesday Wars because I just updated it not too long ago. What we'll talk about really briefly is bibliographies, and then I'll go through and explore the encyclopedia. Okay, so this is a tool. Give me a second here. Okay, so this is a tool that I made for the 7th grade called Citation Station. This is something, feel free to embed it straight onto your websites. I will probably put links to it in the video description below. This is something that I came up with after talking to one of my teachers, whose primary complaint was even if we teach our students how to do Citation Station, they forget it almost immediately. And she was right, they do. So what I did was I created basically a self-guiding reference for them. So here's how it works. So what they get right off the bat is a reference video telling them how to use it. When they're ready to go, they click I'm ready to cite, okay? Now I built all this in slideshows and then hyperlinked exactly to where everything should be. So right here, it says I'm trying to, and then it goes I'm here to, and then the student can pick what it is that they want to do. So they can learn more about citation, which, you know, was kind of optimistic for me to put that on there because I don't know how many students are really craving to learn more about citation. They can also cite a book, cite a YouTube video, cite a website. So just out of curiosity, let's click cite a YouTube video. The first thing that they're going to see is a video. If they click play, it's about 2 minutes long video, and it tells them step by step exactly what they need to do in order to cite a YouTube video. All right, then what happens is step-by-step instructions on the following slides. So what they do is it tells them what link to click on. So in this example, it says click on this link. And then they come back here, they click on the next one right here, and it says, oh, make sure to select APA format. select film, paste in the URL. And it just guides them step by step through the process. So the student, as they go through this, they'll be able to see everything that they need to do. So even if there's nobody sitting there with them, helping them out with the citation, they can accomplish it. Then it asks them what they want to do. They can cite another YouTube video, cite a different citation, and this takes them back to the main menu, learn why citation is important, or transfer your citation to a final product. So this is basically designed to allow them to basically work very, very independently with the citation. And I will take this and copy that straight into that e-resources for research page that we started off with. All right. Second thing that I want to bring up, which is also an important resource, I just skipped it because we're going to be talking about citation inside of this too, is Encyclopedia Britannica. Obviously a valuable resource. Not a lot of ways you can go wrong with an encyclopedia. So, but there's some tools in here that I will show you that you guys might find useful. So what we're going to do is we'll do Abraham Lincoln for my search. And what you're going to see is that there's 3 levels of search up here, okay? Now, I'm just going to click on Abraham Lincoln's biography in here, and you'll see that the 3 reading levels show up here as well. Okay, so obviously the lowest, number 1 is the lowest reading level. So that would be for your elementary students or students that struggle to comprehend what they, or what they're reading. You can see how far apart the words are spaced. It will allow you to listen to it.
Introduction. Historians see Abraham Lincoln.
So you can listen to the actual article itself. And if a student is struggling with a word, like emancipator, if you double click on it, it brings up a definition from a dictionary that allows you to go through and check it. Okay, now, if your student is about at reading level, middle school reading level, you click reading level 2, you can see that there's a lot more beefier content in here. Once again, the student can listen to it. So obviously that's fantastic for ELLs or students with visual impairments, so on and so forth. You can click dictionary is also there. And the students can go through and they can print it off, okay? But if they want even more information, they can click reading level 3. Now this is set for high school to college age. Obviously, not all of our students are going to have an easy time with it, but the reason why I like this one is because this one usually has, and I'll run a quick comparison for you guys here. This one usually has a lot more information than this one. And of course it's Abraham Lincoln, so you're going to see a lot of data on both of them. But if you are having your students research a topic and the students are just not getting as much data off of it as they probably should have, yeah, even this I can tell. Look at how many additional readings there are to this and everything else. If they go to level 3, it will generally have a ton of information for them. And as you can see, there's a little table of contents off to the side here. So they can go through and click on like wartime politics and so on and so forth. So obviously a lot of content there. And then of course the images and videos are separated out. Now, one of the things that makes this very useful, especially for those who want their students to have a source that they can cite, but also know, how difficult it is to get kids to cite source. So if they click cite right up here, you are going to see the citation, and the students can just go through, highlight it, and copy it, which is just so easy. And as you can see, you can change the format too with this drop-down menu. MLA, APA, Harvard, Chicago Manual style. There's just a ton of content there. So just a lot there. Okay. So I've talked about some of the sources that we as a school district have. One of the things you may not have noticed is that I have not discussed a lot of books that we have yet. The reason why I haven't really brought those up is those are kind of stored in a different area, and the books are not always, sometimes they are, but not always tied to the research, research in general. So let's go ahead and see if I can get to the Power School Learning Media Center e-resources page again. There we go. So I didn't necessarily think that it was necessarily great for this talk. Don't worry, I do plan on going over where to find ebooks. The other thing I'm also doing is I'm trying to find more ebooks, so you guys just have a plethora of information when I do send that out to you. Just briefly, there's news over here as well, and then there's online hoax sites. I don't really use these too much with the students. I have a different source that I use called Evaluating Online Resources, where I teach the students how to do that. I would mostly stay focused on this one right here, the Forum, the Star Tribune, Google News, CNN 10. Don't know why this one isn't loading in. Once again, could be a possible problem with the link, could just be a problem with Power School Learning right now. So I'll take a look at that later. Okay, let's click on East Reads here. Awesome. Actually took longer for us to get that error message than I thought we would. We'll see if we can get it to work. If we can't, I'll just kind of talk my way through some things. All right, here we go. East Reads. One of the things is that these are all tools that you guys can go ahead and use to go through and give kids books that they can read at home. These ones down here are graphic novels, which of course are fantastic. Our Capstone Interactive Library is pretty open on here, and you can see there's a lot of content on here. Some of it fun titles, most of it nonfiction, and then we have Tumblebook Cloud. I believe we're all very familiar with what Tumblebook is, but in case we're not, I will go over it briefly. Tumblebook is a great resource. It allows students not to only read the books, but it also reads to them. So the student just goes ahead and clicks Read Online, and as you can see, we can just go through and read this book right here. Both these tools are great. They should give you some access to some online resources. If you are looking for a specific topic in an ebook, feel free to reach out to me too. Which brings me to my second to last little plug here. Okay, so one of the things that you may have noticed is that I have classroom research guides located over here. These are research guides that were made for specific teachers to cover specific topics, okay? So like for example, when I click on the 7th grade language arts Wednesday Wars, this is specifically for a project that was done for 7th grade language arts Wednesday Wars, okay? So everything in here, from the Citation Station to the 60s news stations to the data and everything else that students would use, is specifically created for that purpose. And it would be fantastic if it would just load for us. Let's go research guides. Sorry guys, it's just the nature of the beast right now. And because I knew exactly what the teacher wanted, I didn't just get them general e-resources. I was able to nail down exactly what it was that they needed. If I am sent a request by you saying, Mr. Arnold, I'm planning on doing a topic like World War II, like I just got contacted by Mrs. Frostgeiser asking me for resources for World War II, I will go through, find those specific projects for you and products for you and go through. I'm just gonna switch to my face because apparently the internet has decided that it's not going to work for me, and be able to build those resources directly for you. Now, I say that knowing that I will probably get a lot more requests during this time than I have my whole time here. So please be patient as I go through and I work through that. 3 other resources that I do want to point out. Some of them I know that we're already aware of, but some of them I don't think that we are. So the first one, which is actually a really great one, is biography.com. I know that most of us know what biography.com is, but if you are a social studies teacher, I cannot say enough about the resources that they have in biography.com. Just fantastic overall. Good, well-researched information. The other one is history.com. Same thing with history.com. Just fantastic data on there. And then just filled with tons of topics, tons of history. And then the other one that I go to a lot is if you're working with science's Discovery. That should have the Discovery Channel and National Geographic's both have tons and tons of data on science for them. If you are looking for interactive stuff for students to do, and this goes for both science teachers and for STEM teachers, Tinkercad is a valuable resource. It's going to be a little bit more complicated now, simply because of the fact that they changed how they have students sign in. I will make a video on how to use Tinkercad with students, specifically because they changed their policies on things. I honestly want to say they did it either right at the beginning of this school year or right at the beginning of the actual year, sometime in January, which has made it harder to use, but they have everything in there from virtual circuits, which are so great. Kids can create their own robotic circuits and program them, and everything else using real circuit components such as Arduino, wires, electrical flow, light bulbs, current checkers, all sorts of things that function in a virtual environment just like they would in a real environment. And then of course they can model and create things for 3D printing. Another great resource too is Book Creator. For ELA teachers, you can go through and have students create a whole book online. I know that there's ways to do it using Google Slides and stuff too. I know, of course, that Mr. Lundberg and Mrs. Taylor do this every year and do such a fantastic job with it. But Book Creator is an easy way to do that as well if that's something you want to dive into and a great project for people to use. Another resource would be Flipgrid as well. And if you feel like I'm spitballing a lot out at you when it comes to resources, don't worry, I am. Most of these tools, I'm trying to stick with ones that students either have used in other classes or would be incredibly simple to pick up. The plan is to go through and create resources on how to use these and send those out. I'm waiting for the district to send out their resources right now that they've already done. All right. If there's something that I did not talk about in terms of resources that you want or need to hear more about, please email me. Right now, as I mentioned before, a lot going on. I do not know when I'll get back to you, but rest assured, I will get back to you. My goal for all this stuff is to wrap up as many of these questions as I possibly can on Friday. That might be a little optimistic of me, but that's the plan for right now. Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry this wasn't a little bit more refined experience, what with internet problems and the amount of time I had to prep. But once again, if you need anything, I'm totally here. All right, thanks. Have a great day.